I was really tearing up the pages this weekend, metaphorically speaking. The lighting. And I was like, sure, I will do that. So I did. Hi, I'm Bargain Counter Argument, also known as Sock Marionette, and I'm a middle-aged lady in a tiara talking about books, libraries, and related issues. I don't know why I had trouble saying that word. I just did. And I decided for my Ever Afterathon recaps, wrap-ups, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to do this for every 5-day segment because it is a 25-day readathon. So this is covering days 1 through 5. I'm recording this on the morning of Tuesday, May 6th, so I'm covering May 1st through 5th. And I got a lot of reading done. I was really tearing up the pages this weekend, metaphorically speaking. And it's all the more, I think my output is all the more remarkable because I didn't really get any reading done on the first. I read about 10% of one book, and I was doing a lot of running around. I had libraries and library sales to go to, so I was doing a lot of running around. I scored a lot of free books, which I'm going to talk about in my midweek motivation live show tomorrow. That's Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And it's productivity reading, napping sprints for whatever you want. And also we chit chat in between. And I have frequently have books to show off. Now, but today I'm showing off the books I've already read. Now, I decided to start the readathon. I wanted to read, this is the Ever Afterathon. I wanted to read the 4 favorite books for as described by Crystal of Books Forever After, who is hosting, devising, adjudicating the readathon, the Ever Afterathon. And there are 4 teams: Cinderella, Governess, Pirate, and Traveler. And I'm on Traveler, which is specifically time travel. And she told us what her favorite book from each of those subgenres is. And her favorite for time travel is Remembrance, and by Jude Devereaux. And so this was the first book I read. I read about 10% of it on Thursday morning. I forgot to say this. The readathon actually started at 8 p.m. on the 30th of April. So during that time, that readathon eve that also counted, I finished The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. And that was I read like the last 119 pages of that. So I got the 119 points because it's 1 point per page, and then there are extra points, but I didn't get them because I didn't read the whole book during the readathon. And I already shared my thoughts about those, about Wall of Winnipeg and Me in a short, which I will link in the description, because I had to return it to the library on the 1st. So I only read about 10% of Remembrance on the 1st. I finished it on the 2nd. I kind of liked it. I mean, I felt like she had a contract that said she was going to deliver a book of a certain length, and she made sure it made that length. Also, the main character she's in her 30s when the book starts, but it's a reincarnation deal. So she's reliving a past life where she's like 16, 17, and she and her boyfriend, who is also 16, 17, behave like they're 16 and 17, and that's kind of frustrating to read sometimes. So it wasn't my favorite, but of course it was well written because it's Jude Devereaux. So yeah, so it was okay. I'm not sorry I read it. That's kind of my grading system these days. It's pass, fail. Am I sorry I read it? Am I glad I read it? I'm not sorry. Okay. And then I read, this is another one. I read a contemporary, The Love Con. Now the emphasis for this, the Ever Afterathon, is historical romance, but you do get points for reading romance, even if it's not historical. This is contemporary, and I also got points you get extra points for LGBTQ authorship and or representation, and points for BIPOC authorship and or representation. And as you can see, we have a BIPOC character, and also the author is BIPOC, so that's Black, Indigenous, person of color, kind of. And so this was fun. It's not spicy. It's kind of closed door. There is sex, but it's not like described in great detail. You just know that everybody had a good time, which is what you want people to get from their sex lives. And it was fun. these is Friends to Lovers. I got points for that as well. So I had a really good time reading it. It's about a woman who's competing in a reality show that's based around cosplay. It's called, I think, was it Cosplay or No Way? Anyway, and she makes it into the finals, and then there's fake dating and Friends to Lovers, and there's a project that they're working on together. I always love it when there's a project they're working on together. So I had a good time with this. Very glad I read it. And I think, what was the next book I read? I read so many books, I'm not sure. I think the next one I read this over a couple of nights, Sweet Obsession by Katie Robert. I'm going to talk about this more detail in a different video because I've decided that when I talk about books that are more really spicy or kinky or dark, I'm going to do that as a separate video, bargain counter argument after hours. And so that if people are just here to find out like the not so potentially problematic content, they don't have to deal with it. But I am going to talk, I'm just going to say that I read these books now, so you know what I'm doing for the readathon. So I got some points here because of LGBTQ representation and authorship, and it's a romance, and so on. Speaking of problematic content, I also read Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. I will talk about that in Bargain Counter Argument After Hours. Also from the dark category, Beautiful Creatures by J.T. Geisinger. This is a mafia romance. I'll talk about that in a separate video. And I also read Apples Dipped in Gold, which is a fairy tale retelling by Scarlett Sinclair. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite book ever, but I'm not sorry I read it. Okay, and I read My Heart Will Find You by Jude Devereaux. This is another, it's not reincarnation, it's time travel, and I got points for time travel. I got points for that it is an historical romance that does not take place in England or Scotland. And so yeah, glad I read it. And then a book I own, Time-Kissed Destiny by, was this by Rita Clay Estrada, or is this by, no, this is Constance O'Day Flannery. I knew there was a hyphen involved. Constance O'Day Flannery, and look at how gorgeous that cover is. Look at it, look at it, look at it. And it goes, it's not exactly a wraparound because this is different images on the back. Time-Kissed Destiny, time travel, historical romance, takes place outside the UK, or outside England and Scotland. And it was, I'm glad I read it. I enjoyed it. Okay, so those are the books. Okay, all of those were library books except this one. I actually own this one. And I'm going to do an awkward edit now because I forgot to bring my laptop over here. And some of the books I read were on Kindle. Okay, awkward edit over. I got my computer because I was reading, some of these books were Kindle, and I tend to read Kindle on my laptop rather than my Kindle device. I do have a Kindle device, but I just prefer using my laptop. I'll see if I can hold these up so you can see. It is Tuesday. Now I'm getting weird light. Ooh, spooky. It is Tuesday. I'm holding the laptop so it doesn't affect the light. It is Tuesday, and B, Mama Needs to Read Romance, is having her live show in about 20 minutes, and I'm co-hosting. And the guest is going to be Jenna Bigelow. And when I realized that, and that her books are, well, one of her books is available on Kindle Unlimited, I decided to read. Tribute. Oh. This is not going to look great. Tribune Temptation. And Legionary Seduction doesn't come out until Thursday, May 8th. But I really enjoyed Tribune Temptation. I like that it's an historical that takes place during the Roman Republic, late Republic. And I'm looking forward to reading the sequel Thursday or Friday. And I signed up for Jenna Bigelow's author newsletter because that got me a free novella. And it was a pretty long novella. It was like 200 pages. And also set in Roman times. And I really liked it a lot. And I read it on on my device. The lighting. Okay, we're going to have an awkward edit while I get the other book I read on Kindle. The other book I read on Kindle was Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. And that was Crystal's favorite pick for pirate. And what happened was I had finished a book and I wasn't sure what I wanted to read next. And my buddy Abby Jean, who will be co-hosting Midweek Motivation throughout the month of May, so that's Wednesdays at 2 p.m. She says, "You want me to pick for you?" And I sent her my TBR of just the historical romances. And she said, "Why don't you read Sea of Ruin? Is that okay?" And I was like, "Sure, I will do that." So I did. And I'm glad I did. I can see why people have objections to it. That's going to be another one I talk about on Bargain Counter Argument After Hours. So I think that covers everything. I don't know how many points I racked up. It was a lot because in just a few days I read something like 11 books. I think that was. I don't know. I lost count. There's a nice form you can fill out where you don't actually have to do any math or assign the points or whatever. You just click off what you read and what was in it, and then the points are automatically assigned. But they don't tell you what they are. So I'm like, okay, I know it was a lot. It was a lot. And I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm going to build in some breaks and some reading other things. What I like too is that she actually has a provision for fan fiction. So if I want to take a break by reading some fan fiction, I can do that and still get some points. So that's cool. So far so good. I don't mind working off of a TBR. I usually don't, although I do have a functional TBR in the sense that I check books out from the library and I have to read them and return them. So that kind of functions as a TBR, but I'm usually pretty much a mood reader. So I'm actually having a good time with this. It's a different way to read and it's fun. It's revitalizing. And if you're ever in a slump, I don't know, a readathon might be too much pressure. I don't know. Maybe I should devise a readathon for getting over a slump. A slumpathon. That might be fun. Do you want to do a slumpathon at some point? Let me know in the comments, like the video, share, subscribe, or don't. I am not the boss of you. You can also find me on Instagram as Bargain Counter Argument. And thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a good day or night.